Hi everyone and welcome back to Casino by Her, my channel here on YouTube where I introduce you to various people who work within iGaming. Today I decided to call my dear friend Micke, as we call him, Mikael Jansson. He's the former CMO of Hero Gaming, and since he moved back to Sweden, he's now taking a new approach and serve Hero Gaming as their head of marketing in Sweden. If you're interested in different strategies of how to market your brand and TV commercials, I think you're gonna enjoy this episode with me and Micke. And if you haven't seen my other videos here on my channel, please go ahead and give them a thumbs up if you like them. And yeah, enjoy the video.
My name is Michael, or Micke for everyone who's from Sweden. I work as head of marketing for Sweden right now. As you said, I moved back to Stockholm, my native Stockholm, in February, being the CMO of Hero Gaming up until that point.
How did you started your journey, and what is your background from the beginning?
It's funny because we always talk about it as a journey. For me, it's more, I look back and it's a series of consequences or kind of just random flukes that put you where you are right now. But obviously, being brought up here in Stockholm and studied in university in marketing and management, I got into marketing. And by coincidence, I was on the bus one morning, checking all these LinkedIn kind of recommendations for work that you get on occasion, and there was a position for a Nordic media manager in Malta at Betsson, and my thought was, okay, he's moving home. So I texted him. It's like, that's your role. Are you moving home? It's like, no, actually, I'm now the global media or head of media for Betsson. We're looking for someone to run the Nordics. Are you interested? I was like, yeah, actually, I am, and kind of looking for a new opportunity. So he says, well, send in your resume through the systems to HR that needs to do that to get everything on record. But I'll tell HR that you applied. And funny enough, the HR person who was based in Malta was actually in Stockholm that day to run a kind of customer support kind of this. I think they run these big events when they try to get a lot of customer support agents. So it's like, can you come in and meet me before I fly back to Malta? I was like, yeah, sure. So I think, that was a Friday. Had a 2-hour interview. He was like, yeah, this sounds great. When can you come to Malta? Can you come next weekend? I was like, oof, I need a little bit more time to come up with some kind of a excuse to my then workplace. So I was like, yeah, well, I need at least 2 weeks to set that up. So I think it took 2 or 3 weeks. They went down to Malta. Had no idea where Malta was. I had to Google. I thought it was far east, close to Cyprus. Obviously, I've heard about Malta. Old friends and old friends that went there for language course, etc. Went down, had my interviews on the Friday, stayed the weekend, or if it was the Monday, had interviews. On the plane back, Air Malta had a faulty radar, so we got stuck on the tarmac in Malta, and turned on my phone again. And my friend was like, "Yeah, you got the job. Do you want it?" Like, yeah, I love to. So went back to Sweden, put in my resignation on the Monday afternoon, and 2 or 3 months later, I moved down to Malta and here again, or in Betsson. So yeah, it's a journey. And if you could like, yeah, you could go like, oh, I had all these thoughts and all these things planned out how to get here, but it's just circumstances and being ready for opportunities and jump on them. There was no plan. She just ended up in Malta all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I told you before, like my story, how I ended up in Malta from the beginning. I was just here on vacation after I moved away from Norway. And I had no plans to stay here. I was here on vacation, obviously. And my ex-boyfriend actually applied for a job at Evolution Gaming for me on my behalf. So they called me when I was, sipping my margaritas, swimming in the pool, and they called me from Evolution Gaming. And I'm like, hey, you want to come for the interview this day? And I was like,
what on earth is Evolution Gaming? What is a game presenter? I mean, I didn't apply for a job here. I'm here on vacation. Uh, and I felt so bad. So I actually went to the interview and I had really no idea what I was about to say. Most embarrassing interview in my entire life, but I got the job. So 2 weeks after, I moved to Malta.
Well, it's funny. I think, obviously you need to have a plan. If you look at this as as a building a career and kind of you need to have some kind of direction. You need to understand what you like. And I think, we're going to get back to now being the CMO, of course, you get into this role and start hiring people and kind of think about these things. But for me, it's always been, you need to think ahead and have a plan to be ready for kind of acting on opportunities when they arrive. Because it's in the little things. These things is like, well, you were there on vacation and all of a sudden fast forward X amount of years, we're sitting here having this conversation. And I was sitting on a bus on a gloomy November day in Stockholm, and advertising for a job on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden been in Malta 4.5 years and coming back. So things happen. It's life. You need to just be ready for the opportunities and have the right mindset when the opportunity kind of shows itself.
What would you say is a necessity for your role, which you have now? And what would you look, if anyone would apply for Hero Gaming and want to work in your marketing team, what is significant for the employees and what do they need to have in order to become as good as, let's say, as good as you are?
Oh, thank you. For me, it's always comes down to the mindset. I worked in the military for 2 years, and what that taught me is there's some things you can, like skills you can always acquire, but it's like the mindset is much more tricky to work on. To have that kind of attitude to, especially in marketing and especially in iGaming, everything moves every single day. And it's like you can do these plans, you can put up budgets and kind of like, and you do, but the week after, that's a glimpse in the moment how it looks right then. Then everything changes, and you need to have that kind of mentality and kind of grit to understand that things going to change. Marketing is also, if you talk about kind of mindset, you can never win. It's everyone's going to have an opinion. You never know if it's the right decision or not. You just need to kind of trust your instincts and kind of go at it. So the people that I've been looking is to have that grit, having that kind of drive to get somewhere. Doesn't mean that everyone needs to do a career. It's like, I love really good specialists that are super happy doing one specific thing and they love doing that really well. But you need to have that mindset of kind of always be open for changes and putting in the hard work when it's needed. Then the other side is skills, and marketing is a huge field. And in gaming, we have certain areas that are traditionally marketing, which is not even in the marketing department. CRM is in most other industries a part of the marketing department. In our industry, it's more kind of called commercial, but it's still a marketing channel. So that is very different from buying the media or doing the PR or doing the affiliates or working marketing content and kind of filling the websites, which is also kind of marketing.
And you need to be innovative, and especially if you're working within iGaming, which is a very fast-growing industry, you have to be able to adapt every single idea that you're doing and just keep on pushing boundaries. And
yeah, no, definitely. And working with Sweden and looking back to the last 12 to 18 months with regulations and things, everything has been turned on its head, and you need to be ready for that and be okay with it. You need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We have CMOs that have a more product background. You have the CMOs that have more branding, kind of creative agency background. There's so many different kind of facets and kind of specialties that they started. So get a specialty and be really good at something, and then when you're really good at that, you can start kind of developing yourself and kind of finding other areas or different channels as well. Doesn't really matter if you're 20 or 30. It's easier the more years you have, of course, to gain that experience, but age is also not a massive factor. Some people can be 25 and have 5 years of experience in marketing, and someone can be 35 and kind of transferring for something else. So I know I want to instill as much kind of confidence into people to kind of dare, send that resume, start kind of talking to them. The worst thing that can happen is a no, and you probably have more skills and experience than you think.
Usually when I started early, so when I've been surrounded with older people that had 10 plus years of experience in a certain field, so I always felt like I was fighting against the clock a bit. You need to push and take all the knowledge as fast as you can to be able to kind of level up and be on the same level. But then after a while I just realized, okay, but if they are 15 years older than me, I have actually 15 years to have like 1,000% more knowledge than they do as I do now. So I just stopped competing with the clock, more or less, or actually bothering about my age.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You're going to keep on working. It's a cliche, but it's so true. It's like you're going to work for a lot of years, and you listen to those people that are experienced around you. That's perhaps has nothing to do with hiring people, but kind of managing people. The ones that really are kind of interested in kind of listening to the people with more experience and taking that to heart. And then obviously challenging it as well. We have different kind of generation, different kind of inputs, but listen to the people that have experience and exactly what you said. Learn from the people around you. Then you're going to be able to beat them in the long run instead.
Yeah. Or just learn as much as you can, and then by the end of the day, you're going to feel so comfortable that you're going to do it in your own way. You're finding your own niche by the end of the day.
But I've been scared at every single job that I joined. It's so easy to sit here. It's like, I'm not the CMO anymore. I'm head of marketing, and we have a new CMO who's fantastic. But I've been scared shitless in pure English. It's like every single time. You're pushing yourself. You're getting yourself into new situations that requires new skills. But the only way of acquiring those skills is to push you and put you in positions that you haven't been before. That's the only way of growing. So it's like, it's easy to sit like, oh, you're the CMO and you have all these things. Like, yeah, but I don't have the answers all the way. I don't have all the experience. I rely heavily on all the kind of specialists and the people around you, and learn from them. It's not just learning from the people with more experience, but listen and learn from everyone every single day.
And also maybe finding comfort in that it's completely fine that you do not know everything, right? I mean, that's why when we do have a full company. So I mean, even if you're the CMO or CEO or head of affiliates, or I don't know, head of customer support or whatever it might be, you're still not going to have all the answers. You're still not going to have all the different skills or mindset or requirements, tick all the boxes. But that's not really the most important thing. The most important thing is that you do find the answers, execute the job well, and make sure that your company is actually growing in a healthy way.
Yeah, 100%. I believe, I'm a strong believer in acknowledging and telling when you don't know. Saying, I don't know. I need to kind of get back to you. I need to kind of look into that matter a little bit more. It is, it's business in the end of the day. You're trying to kind of build a business and kind of grow and kind of bring in more revenue. And then it's better to say no than to try to do something kind of that is not helping you acquire those or obtain those goals.
Some companies do put together pure marketing, branding, and let's say affiliation in one budget. Other companies have a very structured way of putting different budgets and different kind of marketing. What I wanted to ask you, as Hero Gaming have been pushing pretty heavily in Sweden, for example, with TV commercials, which cost a lot of money. How do you see it in the long run, or how do you measure your KPIs with the return on investment on commercials on TV, for example, contra other different kinds of marketing you do in the company?
It's a good question. It's the $1 million question for every marketeer out there. And if I would have the right answer, I would probably flying around in my private jet telling every company in the world. But obviously, it speaks to what I said about the kind of being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you're never going to get it right. Every company has their own way of looking at this, which tells you that there is perhaps not just one way of looking at it, and there might not be the right formula because it's different for every kind of company. And I can get like, this is what I really, really enjoy kind of with marketing, having those strategy thinking and kind of branding and what channel should you do and how much should you do of each channel. Affiliates, like if we start in the other way around and not just answering us like, this is how we measure ROI on TV, because we can do that as well. But affiliate has been, I want to talk about affiliates a little bit because it's been such a big part of our history in our industry, and it is still today one of the most important channels. And we need to remember that we have different channels and kind of different way of working with marketing that do different things. And that's, we're getting to the ROI, Disa, so don't worry, but it is a little bit of a, try to kind of put it in the right mind frame. So affiliate is, there's branding in everything we do. Every channel does everything, and branding, what is branding? It's driving awareness, it's driving consideration. As a consumer, regardless if it's gaming or if it's cars or whatever it is, you can talk about the power of three. You have three options in your mind, and it's marketing's role is to get our companies up among those three choices. And affiliate has been super important because it's really good at driving conversions. It does actually drive that awareness and brand parts as well, but its main focus is and kind of best way of measuring it is as a tactical channel or acquisition channel, where we talk about CPAs, we talk about the hybrids, we talk about the rev shares. It's all about how many customers can you get to what price. So that lives on one spectrum of the kind of marketing funnel, together with other kind of acquisition channels as SEM or some parts of digital marketing and banners. TV does something different. It's predominantly an awareness-driven or a brand-driven medium at its core. If you want to break it down even further, you can talk about more acquisition-driven TVCs and kind of brand TVCs. We have been very heavily on the more tactical side when it comes to TV in Sweden and in general, where we have always talked about the bonuses and kind of all these rational factors. So you need to kind of balance these things. TV does one thing on the ROI spectrum. It drives the awareness, and you have affiliates or SEM now when we can buy that through Google predominantly, that we can measure and kind of find exactly how much we're getting it out on a CPA level versus our lifetime value or ARPU or whatever you want to see. So just saying, okay, how do you measure the ROI on TV? You really can't. Well, then becomes a measurement on awareness. It's ROI for me. How many people recognize our brand? How much brand equity are we building? And that is done by TV. And then to get the full picture, you need to kind of put all the money into one pot and see what kind of effectiveness you're getting out of it. And sometimes you need to invest more in affiliates to get the FTDs, and sometimes you need to invest more in TV to kind of get you noticed, get you into those three spots in the top of the mind of as many people as possible in Sweden. I'm guessing, or I know that you have different approaches on this. We talked about CMOs have different kind of backgrounds in terms of more product driven, etc. You would have probably CMOs that are more acquisition driven or kind of more prone to look at the branding. I'm personally one of those that believe that you need to create an emotional connection around the brand that we have. And that's based on a lot of books that I've been reading throughout the years. It's a complex area, but I think that's kind of keeping it on some kind of decent level at least.
Yeah, narrowing it down in a best possible way.
Yeah, I could start a PowerPoint presentation with funnels and kind of the 60-40, 70-30, 70-20-10 principles, and kind of how you budget with understanding how much of your spend that is on acquisition channels can actually drive how much you should put on TV and kind of those kind of things. But I don't want to give away my thoughts as well for all the other CMOs out there.
Well, I'm not a CMO though, so I mean, if you want to have this PowerPoint presentation, I mean, feel free to email me.
Yeah, of course. We'll take it off camera. We'll take marketing 101 on
Yeah, exactly.
marketing strategy on off camera.
Yeah.
No, but it is interesting and it's hard. It's so hard. This is the kind of to put it is like I had so many conversations where I go, oh, I need to have one eye on the horizon and kind of understand what's happening 6 months into the future, because the effect of a TV campaign is not immediate as well. You have some effect that is immediate, but you also build those kind of top of mind and kind of consideration. That takes time and takes 6 months. It can take a year to kind of move the needle that much. So for me, it's having one eye on the horizon and one eye on the next step in front of you. And sometimes you would have board members or companies that goes like, no, we need to kind of get the customers in right now, and then you need to focus, you need to change, and you need to test. Sometimes we do a little bit TV, and what kind of facing should we have that TV in the month, and kind of how is that affecting our metrics, both long term and short term.
Did you have anyone in your surrounding when you were in Malta or in general in iGaming that you've been taking some inspiration from?
Oh, so many.
Name drop.
name dropped. Disa. But I would say that every single person that I've got in contact with within the industry has taught me something. Always, I think Thomas Rasmussen at Betsson is really kind of taught me or added more things in terms of that long-term branding kind of perspective. We didn't really work together that often, but we go into a lot of long conversation about branding and how these things work, and kind of shared business reviews and books, etc. So was a really good person to have those conversations with. And then Thomas, our current CEO, has taught me so much in terms of when it comes to gambling. I probably would like to name drop everyone in the current C-level at Hero Gaming, because being in that situation, they all, Mari, Matt, Sam, Scott, the new CMO, they all taught me so much, either on the kind of iGaming and more product specific, or then like Thomas, much more on the marketing side.
We tend to forget to actually tell each other, like, I'm really proud of what you're doing, or just so you know, I feel inspired by your work. And it's a cool way of actually spreading some positivity and let people tell what we actually maybe think but never said.
Yeah, we should get better at that. It's business in general. Been in different agencies and working with different clients. Work as a media agency consultant, I worked with 40-50 different kind of companies, selling everything. And one thing seems to be the common problem for everyone: time. Everyone is so stressed, and I think we can really feel it. That one of the few benefits of this pandemic is that we all of a sudden have more time for ourselves and kind of lower the stress levels, which all of a sudden people have become much better at kind of expressing just those things. It's like, it's so cool to meet you. It's like, yeah, you are important to me, and kind of you inspired me in those ways. And iGaming is no different. No. This kind of roller coaster kind of craziness in terms of having that, you need to be agile, you need to do all these kind of things, but what we lose sometimes is just take that moment and really truly acknowledge each other.
Absolutely right. So about stress, I'm actually gonna rewind and thank you so much for this interview, for taking your time on a Friday afternoon.
No worries. It's pitch dark and cold in Sweden, so there's
Yeah.
not much that to do.